Hello and welcome to Courtside Sports. I'm Beckett and today we are pitting the Gravity MP from Head against the Babolat Pure Strike 100. So these two rackets are some more forgiving options versus some of the more players rackets on the market. Now what I like about these is you're going to get a little bit more control than some of the more classic 100 score inch rackets like that new Wilson Clash 100 and the classic Babolat Pure Drive. But you don't have to overcome those demanding specs on court that you might get with the Babolat Strike 98 or the Head Gravity Pro, or even something like a Wilson Blade. So between these two rackets, there are three specs that really tell the story. The first is string pattern. So the Gravity MP has a 16 by 20 string pattern, which is a bit tighter than the Strike's very open 16 by 19. The next key spec is the weight difference. So the Gravity MP is actually a little bit lighter. It's 295 grams versus the Strike's even 300 grams. And last up we have the stiffness. So the stiffness of the Gravity, it's a little bit more subtle feeling, but it's softer versus the Strike is a classic Babolat. It's pretty stiff. So let's jump into our scores now to find out what those specs mean on the court. So first up we have power. Now here the Babolat Pure Strike 100 is going to edge out the Gravity. It earns a score of 8.5 over the Gravity's 7.5. Now you can really feel this on most areas of the court. It's apparent on ground strokes, volleys, approach shots. But I found it really showed on serve. I find these stiffer beamed rackets like this Pure Strike really respond well on serve when you're generating a lot of that power all by yourself. The other place it helps is that extra weight. Now it feels like that extra little bit of 5 grams pushes through the ball just that bit more. Not to mention it feels quite a bit more head heavy. It feels like there's more weight around the hoop and that weight will plow through the ball on the court, and I found it very helpful on the backhand side, especially where I have a harder time generating racket head speed as opposed to my forehand. Now next up we have spin, and here it was a little bit closer, but I thought the Strike just edged it out a little bit. So here we have the Strike scoring 8 and the Gravity scoring 7.5. This was surprising to me because typically those tighter string pattern rackets, we've got a 16 by 20 in the Gravity, they don't generate as much spin. Their spin potential is a bit lower because there's more friction in the string. But I think the Gravity kind of makes up for that. It's a little bit lighter feeling. It feels really fast through the air, so you can accelerate the racket head very aggressively to deliver a lot of top spin. What surprised me with both of these rackets actually is the slice backhands with them were surprisingly good. Usually these slightly lighter rackets, I find them a little bit unpredictable on the slice, but that slightly thinner beam just delivers that slight extra bit of control that really helps you knife through the slice. Now next up we have stability, and I think they were so close throughout the court, but there's one area where the Strike just pulled ahead. So the Strike is getting a score of 8.5 over the Gravity's 8, and that is really because of the volley. So I found the Gravity and the Strike both carry a relatively high amount of weight in the head. Like I said, the Strike feels like it has quite a bit up here, whereas the Gravity MP does as well, but I think what helps you accelerate the racket is the lack of weight in the handle. The racket really comes around nicely, whereas I feel like you can also feel that weight in the Strike in the handle, and that is the recoil weight that really helps on volleys. So you need that to counterbalance the action up here when you're not delivering a big swing through the ball. So when I needed to block back a high-paced volley and I just needed the racket to be stable and rock solid in my hand, I could trust the Strike a lot more than the Gravity, whereas the Gravity fluttered at times. Next up we have control, and this is where we're seeing the Gravity pull its nose ahead of the Strike finally. So that's where that softer layup of graphite is going to come into play and get the Gravity a score of 8.5 over the Strike's 7. One thing that felt lackey in control is that really open string pattern on the Pure Strike can lead to slightly unpredictable ball launches. Now, it's not so bad. There are lots of rackets that feel more unpredictable than the Strike. Like, we're getting more control here than we would in lots of other places. But when you're going for a big rip on that forehand, you need to get the ball up and over the net. Maybe have a low ball. It did fly a little bit on me, and that is why I like the gravity. That slightly denser string pattern gives me better connection to the ball, and that softer feeling graphite flexes a little bit more. Just gave me a little bit more confidence, a little bit more control. Now, last up, we've got the feel, and this is where the gravity takes 3 big steps ahead of the Pure Strikes. Now, it gets a score of 9 over the Pure Strike score of 6, and unfortunately, although I think the C2 Pure Feel played really good in the Strike 98, in this super competitive 100 score inch racket realm, that stiff, muted Babolat feel just doesn't hold up as well under scrutiny. So I felt it was a little bit muted. What the C2 Pure Feel does do is it keeps that comfort, which I like, more comfort than you would certainly expect from a racket with a 70 RA stiffness, but you're getting a much more muted feel because they have to filter out so much vibration from each impact. Whereas the gravity, like I said before, you've got that nice flex. It feels really solid on impact too. Like, honestly, the impact feel feels like it's 20 grams heavier than it actually is. The impact feel, it's one of the most solid feeling rackets on the market, I think. And in its weight class, it is unbelievably solid feeling. It inspires a lot of confidence on every ball, and it just feels like one high quality chunk of graphite. Now, between the two, I'm gonna lean towards the gravity a little bit. It suits my play style a little bit better. I like that little bit extra control, but if you're really a player who dominates the court with power from the baseline, you maybe have a bigger serve in your level, the Babolat Pure Strike 100 is a great choice if you need more control versus something like a Pure Drive, a Pure Aero, or Wilson Ultra. Now, if you want me to compare these with anything else, meet me down below in the comments. We've got Master Racket Technicians certified by the US RSA on staff here at Courtside Sports, so don't hesitate to email in or call in. We're happy to help at any time. Don't forget to subscribe to Courtside Sports, and we're trying to be a lot more active over on the Instagram, so find us there at Courtside Sports. And if you want to buy something, you know the best place to do that is www.courtsidesports.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.